Welcome, my friends. It is the Big Rig. It's a very exciting day because we have one of the legendary guitarists of all time. Someone that I looked at one point and went, man, I could do that. And then I realized, no, you can't. It's like your fingers are falling down the stairs. You could never even remotely try and do Steve Vai. It didn't happen. But he is coming to town. He's got a brand new album out earlier this year. I welcome the legend Steve Vai on board. How are you, my friend?
Doing great. How you doing, Big Rig?
I am doing great. It is such a cool honor to have you in town. We were talking a little bit before we started the interview about the video. And I got to be honest with you, man. When I saw, first of all, what is that monstrosity you are holding in the, I mean, is it real? Is it prop? Is it a mix of both? Because I couldn't figure it out.
Well, that you're referring to the song Teeth of the Hydra.
Yes.
Yeah, that guitar that I'm playing I call it the Hydra. And it was something that I kind of dreamed up. It started like 7 years ago, and it was the idea to play a multi-necked guitar where basically everything you hear in the track, with the exception of the drums and some keyboards, is this guitar. And I wanted to create a piece of music that used all the necks and all of the strings and all the effects. And after I thought of that, I could kind of picture it, but I didn't know what the song was going to be or what the guitar was going to look like. And then eventually I saw a video, a movie. It was Mad Max. And there was this one scene where the guy's driving on the front of a truck and he's playing this crazy looking steampunk guitar. And I said, okay, that I get it. That's fake, but I want to do it real, So
Wow.
I kind of just researched a little steampunk fashion, and I sent all this to Ibanez, which is a guitar company I work with. And they, it took like 3 or 4 years, but they made the Hydra. And I recorded the song. I just kind of sat down and had a good time playing with my little 32-string Rubik's Cube. And the song came out, and I started doing press on it and telling people, yeah, I played this song on this guitar, and nobody really quite understood. So I had some video of when I was learning it, and I would show it and they'd go, oh my goodness, So then I thought, I have to make a video performance of this track. And that's when I made the Teeth of the Hydra video.
Now, because I hear like sitar, obviously it sounds like in there, bass, regular guitar. I mean, it's everything. And at one point in my mind is going, there's no way he only has 2 arms and 2 hands. There's got to be, because you move so smooth and everything just flows together. Are you going to bring that out on the road with you?
Yeah. The smoothness comes from just doing it a lot, and then it becomes automatic, and then you can kind of put some performance into it. And when we shot the video, I was playing to the track so I could perform a little more with it, and I could actually stand up and play the Hydra because it's very heavy.
Right. I was going to ask how heavy it is.
Yeah. When I recorded it, I had it on a stand. Through making the Inviolate record, I actually suffered a shoulder injury, and I had to get my shoulder fixed, but I waited until after I shot the video for the Teeth of the Hydra. And 2 days after I shot that video, I went in and got my shoulder fixed.
Wow.
I couldn't take the Hydra with me on the first leg of the tour, which was Europe, because I couldn't even get my arm over it. And a couple of weeks ago when I returned, I was thinking, I really want to bring this thing on tour, in America. So, but I didn't know if I was going to be able to navigate it, So I got on it, and I started working on it, and yeah, I'll be bringing it on the American leg of the tour.
That's insane. I can just imagine bringing that through the airport. People are like, I'm sorry, is this some sort of a weapon? What is this, nuclear powered? Is that, because it's just insane. If you haven't seen the video yet, I'm going to have this up on my blog and everything with the interview so you can watch it. But you'll be here October the 19th. I know you're coming to the Parker, which is going to be a great venue to play in.
Really,
and the album itself, because I wrote down a few of the tracks when I was going through it, because when I listen to music, I like to just be in a room myself, let it free flow. Because when I was a kid, I was into singles, and that was awful because I missed the point of a lot of great albums, and I've gone back and revisited them. But when I was going through, my favorite song on this album was Knapsack. And
really?
And when I thought of the title, because there were so many like different textures and layers in it, it had kind of that old school Zappa influence feel to it. But it just, it's such a weird, wild, amazing journey.
Yeah.
And I can only imagine seeing you do it on, because I've never gotten to see you ever live in concert before. I've never gotten that pleasure to see you. A lot of friends who have.
Have you seen the video for Knapsack?
No, I haven't seen the video yet.
Well, I'll tell you a little bit about that. It's almost as extraordinary as the Hydra, because I had I just mentioned I had that shoulder surgery, but about 8 months before that, I had the first surgery, and it was much more involved. And when I got back from the hospital, I was wearing this sling that was called a knapsack, because the guy, my doctor, Dr. Knapp, specifically made this for people with this particular shoulder surgery. So I got home and I was wearing this knapsack, and I couldn't use my right arm at all. So I picked up a guitar and I started playing, and I realized, hey, I'm going to write a song with one hand.
Wow.
And that turned into the song Knapsack. So if you watch the video, it's quite a hoot.
Man, I mean, that's one hand, everything you hear. That's wow. I mean, that gives me a visual. Like I said, it was wild just seeing the Hydra video and watching you do your magic. But man, seeing that all together in person. But
thank you, because both with the Hydra and with Knapsack, I always feel that the melody is most important. So even if I set out to do something that seems kind of wacky, I still feel it's important to have a good melody, or the best melody I could write. So both those songs, I think I did.
Oh, you nailed it. Oh yeah, you nailed it. Now I hear guitar work going on in the background. Are you at your home studio right now?
Yes, I am.
Wow.
Yeah, that's my tech tweaking the Hydra.
Oh, it's like an animal. We got to take it out and walk it. We got to get it right for performance and ready.
You should see its dumps.
Now one of the cool things in my life getting to do is go to see Paisley Park, Prince's compound and recording studio, and everything there that was at his disposal. Because they talked about how in the middle of the night he would roam in 2 o'clock, start working on things. You know, I know a lot of artists, it comes to you in the middle of the night sometimes. Are you that kind of guy? Do you just like it? If you've got an idea, let me go play around and fiddle with this and work on it?
Well, I have I keep my radar out at all times for anything that might resemble a good idea to me, you know? So, but I don't wake up in the middle of the night and start writing stuff down. But I do, before I go to bed every night, after I've been in the studio all day or whatever, I have a little electric, not plugged in, you know, I have an electric guitar by the side of the bed. And while my wife's getting ready, I always just sit there and noodle about. And that's where a lot of great stuff comes from. You know, you kind of find a riff. A lot of the songs on In Violet came that way, where I was just sitting by the side of the bed and came upon a riff, and I said, oh, there's some energy in that, you know, and you just capture just a little piece of it. And that was like Zeus and Chain, like that. Little Pretty was like that.
Wow.
Apollo in Color. A lot of the songs, they just start with a little. You know, I always tell people, never underestimate the quality of your good idea.
Yeah.
You know, because you know, a lot of people, they get these wonderful inspirations and they go, they get like an aha moment for a creative idea. But then the but comes in and says, yeah, but you can't do this because blah, 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 blah. And so I always say, just never underestimate the value of your own good ideas.
And don't let yourself talk you out of them, let alone anybody else.
Yeah, because you're the only one that can talk yourself out of it.
I'm good at that. I do the old devil's advocate to myself all the time as I've gotten older, and I hate it because I know, you know, they always say, listen, your first reaction is usually the best one. I'm like, okay, so does that mean just because it's a bad idea, it won't be fun? Should I just press forward? I mean, you know, it's kind of that little toil and trouble, and you know, but it's always, because I went back and I watched your first 30 years documentary, which I thought was so much fun to watch because it's a little bit of comedy, it's real, and there's so much cool stuff. Now, did that just come out in September? Is that brand new?
Yeah, that was something that Alan Berry, who's a film archivist and filmographer, basically did on his own, you know, and he sent me some clips in the beginning, and I thought, well, you know, he wanted my blessing on it. And I said, yeah, go for it, you know. And when he was coming more to a completion, I took a look at it, and I couldn't believe how much work this guy put into making this video, and the little tidbits of information he unearthed, you know.
Yeah.
So I sent him some photos, and I, you know, just helped him with a couple of facts, pronunciations, stuff like that. But he did it all, and I'm just so tickled that someone would take that kind of time to do something like that.
Because, you know, we all had an idea of what the road trip looked like, but it was all the pieces in between that kind of filled in the gaps. And you're like, because with the Crossroads movie, at that time I was 16. So that was my really first exposure, other than seeing you perform with David Lee Roth in video form in that movie role, and then getting the backstory on how that whole thing came together. It was just like, holy cow. But I did want to ask you a question, because I know with the Foo Fighters 666 video, your fingers were there for Dave Grohl. Did you do any of the finger work in those scenes with the Karate Kid himself?
No.
That's all his fingers. So everything there's.
Yeah, he did it. Ralph did an incredible job at pantomiming that, because I had recorded all of the guitars with the exception of the slide, which was Ry Cooder.
Yes.
And Ralph was working with Arlen Roth, a great guitar player, slide player, on a lot of the pantomiming, you know. And then I got together with Ralph and, you know, worked on my parts pantomiming with him, but he just nailed it.
And he did, because it was just like, I remember reading an interview with him, and he talked about, he goes, I wanted to make it authentic and do it myself, but he goes, between doing this movie and doing Karate Kid 2, I just couldn't put the time in, and I knew it just wasn't who I was. So I wanted to give the best performance I was. So I wasn't sure if it was all him, or if on some of those close-ups where you can't see him, if they had someone do some of the finger double work. But wow.
Yeah, that's all Ralph. Man. He worked his butt off.
Steve Vai on with us. He'll be here the 19th of October, coming to town at the Parker. Tickets are still available for that. I have everything on my blog that you need, so you can point click your way there. Plus, all the ways to see the documentary, The First 30 Years of Steve Vai. That's also on my blog and everything, because it's a lot of fun. You're going to want to carve out about an hour and 15 minutes, watch it from front to back. It's so cool, because, again, you always think you know, but you have no idea, and it's amazing. Steve, I can't thank you enough for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.